today for dinner, we're gonna have pasties. I spent all morning in the kitchen, like 5 hours, making Christmas cookies, Christmas treats. All that is done. My kitchen is still trashed, haven't touched anything, so you're gonna see a lot of things happening. That's just the reality of a working kitchen sometimes. Cleo's down for a nap. I spent about, I don't know, almost an hour. Yeah, about 40 minutes with my son. We played, we hung out, we read some books. He is having a little bit of time on his iPad while or on the iPad, not his iPad, but the family iPad. I need to whip up this pasty dough because it needs to chill. So I'm making a double batch because we're doing pasties tonight for dinner. And I pulled out over here a bag of pasty filling that I prepped and put in the freezer. So that's thawing and that'll be ready to go for later. But we're also going to be prepping some breakfast pasties for Christmas morning. In my fridge, I pulled out some Italian sausage, some bacon. I'll chop up some potatoes and scramble some eggs on the stove. So our pasty filling will be eggs, potatoes, and breakfast sausage and bacon. So it'll be a really great bite. We wanted to do something that we could hold and eat and be able to walk around and still do things Christmas morning because we're hosting. So on to the pasty dough. I just finished brewing a cup of coffee because it's one of those days I am exhausted. I'm so tired. I really just want to lay down and take a nap, but the show must go on. So luckily the dough won't take me that long. Up on my stove, I have 2 cups of water coming up to a boil. We need that. I will write the recipe down below, but remember that I am doubling it today. So I will have the regular portions down below. First things first is we're gonna get half a cup of shortening, half a cup of lard. My flour is already out and my salt. So I'm gonna pull out the ingredients that I need. I'm gonna get my cup of coffee and we're gonna sip on that cup of coffee while we throw this dough together really quick and get it in the fridge to chill. It's actually cold enough today where I might just put the top on this bowl and put it outside. That's what I do with my cookies all morning. I might do that because I don't have a lot of room in my fridge right now. I homemade a coffee creamer. I actually had to make a batch of this morning. I got up to edit this morning at 5, which is a pretty normal occurrence for me. That's when I edit. I wake up at 5 and I'll have a little bit of time to edit before I have to get the kids up and ready for the day and to get up on the bus. And I woke up to no coffee creamer, so I had to make coffee creamer this morning. But I made a bigger batch. Oh no! Oh no! Our water is just about ready. Being boiled as well. This is tallow that I rendered from our whole pig. This is all I have, so I've been only using it for pasties and occasionally for seasoning my cast irons. And then our Crisco's. You take your boiling water and we're gonna put that boiling water on top of our lard and on top of our Crisco, and it's gonna melt into the boiling water. You then throw in your salt and your dough, or your flour. We're gonna mix all of that together until it becomes a soft dough. It's more about texture. Once you get it to that point, we refrigerate it and let it completely cool, and then it'll be ready to roll out to make hand pies, pasties, whatever you want to call them. But please remember, you can fill your pasties with anything. Anything that you want. My favorite from our local pasty shop here is beef and cabbage. Potatoes, beef, cabbage, carrots, rutabagas, like all the root vegetables. Those are my absolute favorite. Okay, so we're gonna do a half cup of shortening and a half cup of lard. I'm doubling this, so I need a cup of each. But our local pasty shop, the kids always get their pizza pasties, and it's little diced potatoes, like you could get diced hash browns, and then they throw in diced up pepperoni and like just a hair of pizza sauce and cheese, and it's really good. That's the one the kids really like. The other one we get a lot is potatoes, ham, potatoes, ham, and cheese. That one's really good. They're kind of like Hot Pockets if you have no idea what pasties are. Boiled water. Now, this is a metal bowl. I'm gonna be careful while touching it because this bowl is going to heat up. But I like these Viking bowls because they have a silicone base, so I can stir them and the bowl isn't going to move around on me. But I'm just gonna help break this up just a hair, just because my lard was in my fridge, so it's significantly colder than my shortening. We're gonna throw in our salt. I'm just eyeballing it. But I think while this is melting down, let's start doing the prep work for the filling of our breakfast pasties. Now, the very first time I made pasties, I didn't do any research in them, and I cooked my filling and then stuffed it. That's not what you do. It's like a raw pack. So you take your raw meat, your uncooked vegetables, and you pack them into your pasty dough raw, and then you bake it in the oven all together in like a one pot sealed kind of thing. So they're very easy to put together, and there's minimal prep work, which is why it makes a fantastic freezer meal. So let's cut up our potatoes really quick. It'd be a really great way to use up older potatoes because you could just chop them up and put them in your freezer. I'm trying to think. Let's start with 2. We're gonna get these rinsed off. But you could take old potatoes that have been in your pantry a little bit too long maybe, dice them up, put them in a freezer bag with your meat of choice, maybe some old carrots, an onion, some garlic. Very simple ingredients, very humble ingredients, but it's such a delicious meal. We like to dip our pasties in gravy. Some people do gravy, some people do ketchup. It really just depends on your preference and probably what you're stuffing your pasty with. Like I said, my favorite is cabbage, rutabaga, potatoes, a little bit of beef. Sometimes we do bear meat. I always get comments when I say that. Did you say bear meat? Yes, we said bear meat. We like to mix our bear meat with beef. So we'll do bear and beef pasties or bear and beef pot pies, meatloafs. Sometimes we'll mix in a little pork. Very good. Okay, so here are my potatoes. I'm gonna mix this up just a little bit more, and we're just waiting for this to completely melt, so you can see there's chunks in here yet. I'm gonna let the hot water do the work for me, and it's gonna keep melting down. So now that we're here and I have my potatoes, I'm gonna pull out another bowl because I need to do some meat. You can make your potatoes as big or as small as you like them. It's, like I said, really up to preference. You can cut them really small. I leave mine about medium-ish. Medium-ish, really simple. All you're gonna see me do, cut it open. Put it right in with our potatoes. Super simple. Now we're gonna take bacon from that same pig, and I'm just going to chop just a couple slices. I tried to grab a smaller package of bacon that we had, because we have some that are, you know, 2 or 3 pounds of bacon and some that are, you know, only a pound or a half a pound of bacon. That's how we ask our packager to package it for us, so that we can use some for meals, or you don't always need a whole big slab of bacon. So I'm just going to chop this up. And we're gonna throw this in our bowl as well. This big slab of fat, I'm just gonna set aside. And I don't know if you can see, that's Lady. I'll give her a slice, and then I'll save 2 more big slabs of fat like that, and I'll give one to Blue and one to Ghost. There's my dog pile. But you could do Canadian bacon. This would be also a great thing to do. Maybe you have leftover Christmas ham and you're looking to find something to do with it. This would be a great application. Ham, potatoes. Maybe you have some carrots, some celery left over from your fruit or from your vegetable platter. That would work too. All the good things. Lady. Gentle, good girl. Okay, I'm gonna wash my hands before I dig into this. So let's go do that. Okay, so this is really simple. We're just gonna mix this up. I'm still undecided on if I wanna add eggs or not. Could. So I did look it up. Your eggs do have to be cooked. So I'll scramble my eggs on the stove, add probably 6, 7, 8 scrambled eggs into this mixture, and then I'm gonna stuff it in my pasty dough and bake it. Then once they're cooled after baking, I'm gonna put them in a Ziploc bag and freeze them, and we'll pull them out in a couple days for Christmas. I'm gonna wash my hands, top this bowl with some cellophane, put it in the refrigerator or out on my back deck for a couple of hours until I'm ready to stuff my pasties, but I wanted to get this mixed up while Cleo was napping just to make my life a little bit easier. So we're gonna leave that there, wash my hands, then we'll deal with it. I'm gonna use a fork. Now, I do want to mention, we didn't season that breakfast pasty filling. What I'm going to do is, when I cook my eggs, I'm gonna season my eggs like I normally would. I'm gonna do chives, salt, pepper, a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, just like I would if I were just gonna cook them and eat them for breakfast. Once I do that, I will taste my eggs. Mix them in with my filling, and that's how we're gonna season our filling there. The breakfast sausage is filled with all delicious seasonings, and I'm gonna let that breakfast sausage and that bacon kind of be the star of the way that breakfast pasty tastes. If I can find the video where we prepped the pasty filling that we're gonna have for dinner, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5. I think the bag of pasties I have up here has carrots, onions, potatoes, and beef in it. I might run downstairs and pull out a bag of cabbage for my pasty. And then whatever cabbage I don't use in my pasty, I'll just keep up here, and then I'll eat over the next day or two. I can eat it tomorrow with lunch or with a different dinner or something. So you can see how soft this dough is. It's not like a pie crust or anything like that. It's almost more like a cookie dough, to be honest. This is our last cup of flour. This is the point where I just take my ring off and I get it in with my hands. So it is obviously later in the day. Everything is chilled and I'm getting ready to assemble the pasties. This is where things get really easy. You just gotta cut a chunk off, roll it out. I try my best to roll it into a circle so that our pasty gets that really nice crescent shape. If you can't do that, no worries. Make it into whatever shape you can. You can make it out into a rectangle and make more square pasties. That's totally fine too. Whatever is going to be easiest for you, they are still going to taste delicious. So I tried to roll them out into my circle, and then I went and got my filling and just put a spoonful or two into the pasty dough. What you can do is weigh your pasty dough while it's all together and then do the math and try to figure out how much weight each pasty should be for your dough, and you'll have even sized pasties. I didn't do that. That's not really my style in the kitchen. I like to just kind of grab and go. I'm just cooking for my family. If I were cooking like on a larger scale or it had to be perfect, then I would do that. But I'm just crimping the edges and kind of rolling and twisting the edges, and it makes this really pretty braided pattern on the edge of your pasty. You can also crimp it with a fork. That works too, like you would a pie crust. It's all gonna work the same. So once you assemble it and it's all together here, you just cut some vent holes in it. What I like to do for my different pasty filling is I will mark different marks on top. That way we don't have to cut into them. We just know what the pasties are by how many cuts I put on the top of the pasty. That's my tip from me to you. Or if you had it where everyone wanted to roll their own pasty, you could just carve the initial of the person on top of the pasty and use that as your vent hole. So these are the pasties that we are making for dinner with the pasty filling that I pulled out of the freezer that we prepped a couple weeks ago. And then you can see here, if I had too much pasty dough, I just cut it off and put it back onto my dough pile and would use it for the next pasty. So it worked really well. I made a handful of pasties with no cabbage, and then when I had a little bit of filling left, I took some shredded cabbage out of the freezer from the garden and put that in, and then put the cabbage in pasties that I was going to eat. So it's really simple, really easy. It really isn't that hard, and that's what makes this recipe, I think, so exciting. Is it looks really good, it tastes really good, and it is a labor of love, but like it's an easy labor of love, you know what I mean? It's easily impressive for people, and you can customize it to whatever your family's likes, needs, and desires are. So that was really simple. I just filled our dinner pasties, and then I went ahead and started making my breakfast pasties with our breakfast filling. And if you have leftover filling, you can always freeze it. Just put it in your Ziploc bag, freeze it, and then the next time you want to make pasties, you have some filling all ready to go. So lay them out on your sheet tray. Before you put them in the oven, you are going to spread them with an egg wash so that they get nice and golden and delicious. Here's the one with our cabbage filling. So I'm just finishing up our dinner pasties here, and then we're going to move on to breakfast pasties, which they turned out really well. We haven't tasted them yet, but I'm so excited to. So moving on to breakfast pasties, I just gave this one last stir. At the very last second, I decided not to cook my scrambled eggs to put in these pasties. If I'm being really honest, my baby, Cleo, she's 1, she was not cooperating very well with me this night. So I was like, you know what, we're just gonna axe it, and I'm just gonna hurry up and try to get these pasties in the oven during the moments in time where she was happily either playing on the floor or sitting with the other kids, they were trying to distract her because my husband was on his way home from work, and I really need to get these in the oven so that they would be done. So my older kids were trying to distract her and play with her so that I could really quickly roll these pasties out. So I decided to just axe the scrambled eggs, and they'll still taste really good. I can always scramble eggs the morning of, and we can have scrambled eggs on the side or something like that. So I'm not super worried about it. I'm a little disappointed, but sometimes that's just the way things go when you have little kids going on. I get comments sometimes like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it all. And the honest truth is sometimes I just don't. And this is a prime example of that. Sometimes it just doesn't all happen, and that's okay. So we are adjusting on the fly, and you can see how easy this dough is to work with. It ripped a little bit. I was just able to patch it back together, and it works amazing. I love this pasty dough so much, so I would highly recommend this recipe. So once we rolled our last pasties, you can see I just put them in the oven here. They do take quite a while to cook. They say on the recipe it takes like 45 to 50 minutes. Mine usually take about an hour and a half. Here I'm showing you guys the leftover breakfast filling that I have. I just put it in a Tupperware, and we ate that for breakfast the next morning. I just put it in a pan. I scrambled a couple eggs in it, and we had a hash scramble. And it didn't look like there was a lot, but Colt, Cleo, and I actually ate this for 2 mornings because we added eggs to it. So it really added to the quantity of food there. So we ate off of this filling for quite a few days and just put it in the fridge while our pasties were cooking. And these are our pasties after they come out of the oven with that beautiful golden color from the egg wash. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you try these. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic Christmas season as we're closing in on the holidays, and I will catch you guys in another one.